Hello, good people. Welcome back to the Cub Games YouTube channel. It has been a little while, but I have Goat Format's biggest spider enthusiast here with me. We have Ez2Slayu coming back with the Gumo Sumo deck that you all may have seen on the channel probably a month or so ago at this point. But Ez2Slayu decided that one Obelisk win wasn't enough for this deck, so took the exact same deck list right back through the academy, won the Slifer, won the Raw, won the Obelisk again, and so now has two Worlds invites this season with the Jirai Gumo deck. So, Easy, go ahead and say hi to the people.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, glad to be on the channel again. As always, it's great to talk to Cub, and yeah, excited for it.
I think it's kind of interesting that after the first video, I started to see this deck a little bit more on the ladder, and a couple of people told me that they had started
Mhm.
seeing it quite a bit more. I just
Yeah,
played, yeah, I just played a tournament in Cleveland. There were a couple of people playing it up there in paper. Definitely seeing it around a little bit more, and obviously you've had a lot of success. You've won two obelisks now. Somewhere in the time between the first video and this one, you also got second in a PWCQ. So
Mhm.
think this deck may just be real.
It just may be real. It may be real, right? Yeah, I think there's a lot of like speculation of if the deck is, just a fluke or is it actually a well-performing deck, and I think, its performance so far is kind of, I think, cemented the fact that it can perform competitively against most decks or many decks. And yeah, it's a really fun deck to play in my opinion, and it's definitely a different play style than most decks. So I really love this deck. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely done well. I know at least from being around in some of the Goat format servers on Discord, a lot of the top people are starting to believe in it. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's
they call themselves the Goominators.
that's such a good name. All right.
Yeah.
For those of you that haven't seen the first video that we recorded a while back, I will have the link for that down in the description. You can go check that out if you want. But if you are new here to the Gumo Sumo deck, we are going to go ahead and go through the deck one more time, and then we're going to show off a cool replay from the most recent Obelisk that Easy played here. So, Easy, once again, you love this deck. You know this deck a whole lot better than me. Why don't you go ahead and get into it?
Yeah, so just the three standard Blade Knight, it's typical in Warriors, gets over flip effects, or negates flip effects. So just typical, great to have in the main. Then we have the Gumo Sumo. This card, I love this card. So it actually is my favorite card, I think, of all time.
Nice.
And it used to be played in Earth Aggro a lot, as you mentioned previously, Cub, in the last video, and it just gets over spy. The cost, even if you flip wrong, the attack still goes through. Some people don't realize that. And it just is the biggest four-star eater that doesn't really, besides Gaff, but it doesn't switch to defense for 2 turns. So, it
Hmm.
just is a great card in my opinion, and yeah, it's just a big beater. Gets over Zambara too, which is annoying
Yep.
for a lot of people who side deck it. And then you have the 2DD Assailant. This I have in the deck because you're also worried about like Chaos Sork and getting over BLS. So sometimes you have to like ram into it with Assailant. And it's just overall a good generic card to have in the deck. So, people attack into it, their monster's going to be banished too.
Hmm.
Um, and then you have the Breaker, Lady, Exile. That's kind of standard, just great 1-0s. Um, I don't think I need to explain those too much. Swift Gaia is a very interesting card. I love this card. I think it's really underrated. I think the reason this card's not played a lot more is because you kind of have to choose between BLS and Gaia. But since this deck only runs like one dark, BLS doesn't really make much sense. So this card, because I run a lot of traps and spells, it's pretty much always like really easy to get on the field. And huge beater, like a goblin attack force with much more defense and doesn't switch to defense. So love that card. Then you have the Trinity pieces, Pot, Grace, Duo, great cards. Duo is the bane of my existence though. And then I don't like this card at all, but obviously I'm gonna
It
play it.
it just helps
Um,
speed up your Swift Gaia, though. You should be happy when your opponent plays
yeah,
Duo.
true. Of course, that's what I'm like saying in my head when it happens.
Right.
But yeah, if there's one card I could ban and go, probably be this. So, then you have the two reinforcement of the army. Uh, Good for searching out the warriors, thinning the deck a bit. You have the two knocks, standard, heavy, MST snatch. Also standard for removal and taking your taking your opponent's mon. Where we get unstandard is the compulse. Now
Mhm.
this card is really great in this deck, specifically because it really upsets tempo. Because this deck is essentially trying to disrupt tempo of your opponent and like put them on a very like small turn time clock. This compulse you just like compulse the set mon back to their hand, and you're attacking with big mons for game, and usually it like puts them on a 2 or 3 turn time clock. And Chaos decks don't really run a lot of traps. Like you have the breaks, force, ring, but other than that, if you're drop offing and they're just hoping to draw something and you have this, it's just great. It's also a really good defensive card. Like so if they're trying to brain con you or snatch you or, you know, knock you through a Yomi, you just return this with your Mon and it's protected. Then you have the drop off, which is again I love this card so much. So the drop offs and time seals are just a 1 for 1. Because this deck is trying to go 1 for 1. And pressure for game. This drop off just when your opponent draws, you just chain it, discards their card, and they miss out on their draw, which is really annoying. For a pressure deck like this. The one thing I did learn a new ruling, which people do have to be aware of. So if your opponent is drawing into 4 cards and you have Dust Shoot and Drop Off, you can chain both, but you chain the Dust Shoot and then you chain the Drop Off. And the reason why is because if you do it the opposite way, the opponent is allowed to legally shuffle their hand and you won't know what card to return to the deck with Dust Shoot, uh, because it might have been the drop off card, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I didn't know that. New to me, but uh, always do it in that order. And then you have the Solemns, which are really good because obviously you're just trying to your opponent's on very few cards with the time seal drop off. So if they have an out, this is the answer to their out. Um, a shoot just mends well altogether with the deck. It's trying to control the hand. Really broken card. Just hand knowledge is really broken.
Yep.
Mirror Force, Torrent, Call, and Ring are pretty standard. And if there was one thing I could add to this deck, maybe take out. I don't know. You can take out the torrent for something else. I know people have mentioned that before, but I just love the card. You could also add Prem, but it's an extra risk of it not being live, but it's not like unplayable. But yeah, overall, I deck's performing really flawlessly. You want me to explain the side deck too?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So the side deck is very unstandard, but I don't like RGT at all.
Yeah.
And so I do have 3 Jougans and 2 Royal Oppressions and 3 Roar. So essentially, this deck has a very hard time dealing with Reasoning Gate. like most decks, but this deck quite so, because if your opponent opens Broken and Reasoning Gate with a hand control deck like this, your drop-offs and time seals really aren't going to matter that much, and also Reasoning Gate doesn't really care about Compulse. So you have to side heavy into dealing with it, and it's not a common deck at all. Like, if you're going to a tournament or something, I guess you could change the side more specifically for that. But in general, I just, I run into the reasoning gate every now and then, and I just decide deals with it. So that's why I have it. And then burn is the other problem this deck has. So I have the three dust and the two walk, um, and that pretty much solves my problems with burn. I used to only take out one Gumo against burn because of my fear of not having enough Mons.
Hmm.
However, I've learned after some more play testing with this deck that it's not worth it. It's just, unfortunately, Gumo is there's one deck you have to be disloyal to your Gumos, and that's burn. So I would probably replace the Gumos with the walks.
Yep.
But other than that, yeah, that's the deck. Yeah, it's again still planning to take it to Worlds and win another obelisk with it.
I may have to take you down on the next one if I'm able to make it back. Um,
Oh God.
so some people in the comments of the last video mentioned that they had played against you while you were
Hmm.
playing RGT in the past, and
Yeah,
I have found evidence of it. It is it is documented in the goatformat.com server. Ez2Slayu has played Reasoning Gate before, um,
I have. I have.
but
And
um,
it was a dark moment in my life. I was I didn't I was lost in the darkness. But I found the light.
to
I'm,
be
I'm,
fair,
I'm
the list that I saw was quite spicy, so it wasn't just like straight up RGT or anything. Um,
No, it was Soul Exchange with Spell Canceller. If that
yeah,
it's like definitely not the typical RGT list at all.
I
But
do
yeah.
love me some spell canceller. So like I know you've been playing with this list for a very long time, and obviously if the deck keeps winning and you keep climbing up in the rating and you're winning a whole bunch of tournaments and whatever. Don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it. There we go. That's the saying. I could
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
couldn't get that out. Do you feel like there should be any changes? I know you mentioned premature burial. We sort of talked about skill drain before. I've seen people on the ladder. I think this is sacrilege, but I've seen people on the
Hmm.
ladder replacing Gumos with Berserk Gorilla.
Oh no.
Yeah,
You can't,
um,
because you can't get over, you need Guma to get over spies.
yeah,
Otherwise you're just gonna have an issue with this deck. And skill drain is just, well, to be frank, it's unplayable in this deck because you need to run multiple. You're not just gonna run one skill drain because you want to see it early
mhm,
game. And if you run multiple skill drains, I mean, it just doesn't feel necessary. I mean, yes, it helps Gumo, but it doesn't really help anything else in this deck. And I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna make any changes.
okay,
I, th- I think the only change I would make going to Worlds is changing up the side because this was just more of a general thing. Um, but
sure.
you could definitely add like mind controls on the side or a Kaiku or just standard side deck cards.
Hmm.
But other than that, no, I think the main are not going to change. So
Sure. I get comments about the deck a lot. I guess it's because I did the video with you. The most common comment that I get, I think, is that you should shove a BLS in here somewhere. Um, I
how?
know we've talked about like the conflict between BLS and Swift Gaia, but like looking at it, I'm like,
Yeah,
there's only one dark in here.
there's only one dark,
That's not Swift
so
Gaia.
that's not Gaia. So if you took out Gaia and replaced it with BLS, you'd have to change the monster lineup. So you'd essentially have to
Hmm.
take out the assailants, probably for like more darks. Then you're running into the issue of trying to get over like a Sork or a bigger mon like a Monarch,
Hmm.
out of the blue or something like that,
Yeah.
or a Jinzo. So to me, it would be you'd have to make a good amount of changes, and I don't really make a new variation. Everyone's free to do what they want. I think
Hmm.
that yeah, it'd be more changes than I'd be willing. I'd like to make. If them, yeah.
Sure. The only other thing that like now that I'm a little bit more educated on the deck since the last video, I've played this a little bit myself as well. The only thing that I felt was a little awkward was
Hmm.
like maybe too many time seals in the deck. I get, that's kind of
Mm,
the time seal drop off package is kind of like the unfair side of the deck where it's like a lot of people have just said the deck doesn't allow you to play the game if you're the Chaos Turbo player or the opponent or whatever. But it
right.
felt like Time Seal was a little bit more awkward than Drop Off. Or I suppose you're still happy with 3 copies.
Yeah, I'm happy with them. I get what you're saying though, because
Hmm.
unlike drop off, there's a lag of for time seal,
Yeah,
so you have to wait a turn in order to play it. So if you're not in a super advantageous position, you kind of are regretting having to wait that turn. But I think just with the whole synchronization of the deck and the way that it's supposed to run, I think it's just the 3-3-3 of this shoot. I'm just gonna drop off.
hmm,
It works well when it's working, right? So, um, I again the deck like every deck has its weaknesses.
sure.
And I think that sometimes like for me, I try not to get into the habit of because I do this sometimes a lot. I'll like focus on the games that I lost, and I'll think, oh, well, if I just had this instead of that game, it would have gone better. But I have to look at the overall picture, right, of like
Sure.
how it's generally performing, and so in general, I think the 3 time seals and drop offs I think are good. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Do you have anything else to say about the deck before we get into this replay?
No, not really. I just I've been watching because people have been making other like videos about playing the deck, and
Hmm.
it's always just fun to watch. Because it's also a lot of people have said uh they'll download the deck or take it, and then there's people who drop it. I think too early, only because it's a very different sort of play style, and
Hmm.
so it's like they kind of get a little frustrated of like why like them trying to make it work. But I think that once you get the knack of it, of like when you're supposed to compulse, when you're supposed to
Yeah.
do certain things, that you'll find it to be really fun and powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is a bit of a change, especially like if you're playing like regular warriors. And then you go to this and you try to play it like you normally play Warriors. It's just not really
Yeah.
going to work out.
Yeah.
Even though in
Yeah.
War League they made us call this deck Warriors for whatever reason.
No.
It certainly does not play like a typical Warrior deck. It
No.
is kind of its own tempo-y thing. I know people give the
Yeah.
word tempo a lot of crap, but there's a
No,
tempo
it's
deck. This is it.
definitely a different tempo than standard warriors. So, and it's just something you have to get used to, you know.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, the replay we're going to show is actually against a control deck, piloted by one of the best control players on the planet, Geist D. And how do you generally feel about your control matchup? Because I would imagine it would be one of your bad ones, right?
Yeah, I don't feel as bad about it as against RGT or Burn, but
Sure.
it's definitely not my most favorable matchup. I think that Uh, but I don't go into it thinking that it's unwinnable at all. I
Hmm.
think it's just more of a coin toss than I'm I feel other matches where I walk in a lot more confident. Yeah.
Sure. And I suppose like having the main deck compulses helps a lot
That helps a lot. Helps a
against
lot.
Tear. And you all are going to see a certain sideboard card come up in the match, and it pulls its weight. we'll,
It
we'll
pulls its
say
weight
that.
a lot. Yes.
All right. Let's go ahead and get into that then. All right, here we are with the replay. I believe this was in the top four. I want to say this was losers bracket finals. Is that right?
Top three or top four? I can't remember. But one of
Top
those,
three.
yeah.
Top three. That's what it was because it was you, Geist, and return winner.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
that's right. Okay, let's get into this here. Going to be showing both hands just so those of you watching along know what's going on from both sides. Obviously, Easy was not able to see Guy's hand. That would be cheating and very, very impactful in the game. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Geist opening up with pretty decent hand here. We don't have the. I guess we do have the level one to go with meta. So Tear game
Good.
one seems like pretty good against this deck.
Hmm.
But at least for the time being, you don't have to fight through Scapegoat. So
Yeah,
that
that's
seems pretty
always a
good.
blessing against control. Like,
Yeah.
because it seems every game of control I face, I always open the scapegoat, which is just, it's rough.
Hmm. You've got a nice hand going here.
I do.
And you
Yeah.
draw into the Gumo. Okay, so we
The
get to see
Gumo
it as the first monster. Geist, we can see over here. Oh wow, no fear.
doesn't really have anything.
Yeah, yeah, not much in the way of protection, but just like no fear, setting everything into heavy storm. Um,
Yes, yes. And I can't blame him. Well, it's a little awkward only because I only do it when I'm trying to avoid duo.
mhm,
Um, and since you're keeping two cards in hand, you're just opening yourself up to duo or storm. So
mhm.
it's a little weird to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it plays around Trap Dust Shoot a little bit, and like he knows the
True.
knock's not going to be very good, but like the meta could be good, the creature swap could be
This
good.
one could be good. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of an interesting decision over there. But I'm certainly not going to question a control player that's so much better than me at the deck. I am a terrible control player. But yeah, like you said, the duo is going to be it's going to be big here. Geist is going to chain
Hmm.
the Jar of Greed, which makes a little bit
The
of
jar
sense.
gradient. Yeah.
Draws us to another meta. Okay, and we hit the breaker. That's uh I guess either of the others might be a little bit better, especially the Moth, because Moth can just get all of these
Yeah, the
back. But
moth
well,
hit would have been ideal, but
I guess you do have knock though, so maybe you actually did want to keep them off in hand. Now that I think about it.
yeah, and also torrent into, a TRE, so it's not the worst
Mhm.
situation.
Yeah,
So it'd be like two for two resources. So
yeah, yeah. That's not the worst, and you get to swing in for a nice 2,200 here.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about
Well,
it. Yeah, if you lose the flip, and then they well, I guess they have to activate the scapegoat before you actually do the flip. So, um, but
well, for
it would
so
suck to attack, lose a bunch of life points, and just have to attack a goat token.
yeah. Well, the scapegoat, I'm pretty sure the rulings I have to flip twice. So I have
Oh,
to
that's
flip,
right.
yeah, and then he changed, and then I have to flip again. But Gumo's loyal to me, and he never disappoints me. So
Tails never fails, indeed.
Tails never fails.
Drop off looking pretty good here. Torrential Tribute, it's a fine one to hit, but
Yeah,
just
definitely a good one.
getting to rip two cards out of your opponent's hand with duo and then deny them their draw phase is just it's very powerful.
Pretty bad. Yeah, pretty rough.
Yeah, we see Geist here. Go ahead and meta away the Moth. Makes a lot of sense. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I guess even with the knock here, you would have rather have hit the Moth just because of the meta that was
So the
set.
meta,
But
yeah.
yeah, but let's see. Yeah, you're just gonna activate the Torrential here. And see, like, you don't know it, but like, if the Gumo attack went through without any interaction, I'm sure you can probably just guess that like the opponent doesn't really have anything in the way of protection. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
going 2 for 2, you're not in a terrible spot. Obviously, this Trap Dusty is just going to be dead till the end of time, but oh, unfortunately, you get the Compulse now. That would have been awesome for this
Now,
turn,
that would have been awesome last turn, yeah.
but it's all right. Go ahead and set it. Gain a juicy extra 1,000 life points here. And the Sork is online.
But
We do have the
is
light here,
live, yeah.
but it's only live once here. I haven't
That is
seen
true.
if you bounce it with a Compulse. So that's one of my favorite things ever. The opponent plays out a Chaos Monster. They use its effect, get the value or whatever, and they just send it right on back to their hand, and then it's dead.
Yes. And people forget that it happens more often than people think, and they just
Oh
can't
yeah.
bring it back. So,
Breaker taking out the creature swap, which is very nice, leaving Geist with just this knock here. It
yeah.
draws another
Uh,
knock. Okay.
there's another knock.
Yep. Sork coming on down. Yep. Get rid of that. Draw into Blade Knight. Excellent. Now we have some pressure. See if we, yep, summon Blade Knight. Makes a lot of sense. Go ahead and compulse that Chaos Sorcerer back out of here. I promise I don't remember any of the plays in this replay. I'm just kind of sitting here calling them about the the compulse and everything.
Yeah.
But this looks great. Unfortunately, there's a Mirror Force here, but the opponent is in
You're the
exact
fourth.
range of Duo, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And okay, well, a bad draw there, but
another another one, yeah.
it's kind of interesting. One of these games is like it's game one, and both of you are just completely drawing dead.
Yeah.
Like both
Yeah, just
knocks over
double knock,
here.
double shoot.
Yeah, and it sucks even more for you because like Trap Dust Shoot can usually just be kind of decent in this matchup, but it's just been dead this entire time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, luckily we finally get to use this knock and get the Moth out of here. So deny your opponent another light, set the drop off, get rid of Jar of Green. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Into another Blade Knight. Yeah, we take
Okay,
those.
so we're not. Yeah, we take those all the time. Now
Yeah,
Gumo would have been nice, you know.
yeah. Gumo, or Swift Gaia there
Or
would have
Swift
been
Gaia, yeah.
excellent, but Guy's gonna draw into what is a dead heavy storm over here. Just you can
Form.
destroy both of
So
those
yeah.
knocks if you want, but yeah, set it as a
Yeah,
bluff. But I would imagine there's no world where you're just not attacking here. Torrential
yeah,
and Mirror Force are gone. You could even summon the second
are
Blade Knight
both
if you want.
gone. Yeah.
But just poking in with one. What was the reasoning for not summoning the other Blade Knight?
I didn't check the grave. I forgot Torrent. It was like
Okay.
yeah, completely my bad.
Okay. Um, did you discard this off of Duo?
Yes.
Okay.
I know I discarded off of drop off.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I've had those
Yeah.
moments too where it's like the card didn't actually get played, so it just leaves my mind.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but picking up game one against Control feels pretty good here. Um,
Hmm.
Obviously, Geist didn't see any of the scapegoats, but you did have to out a Tear and a Chaos Monster and a Mirror Force. So, oh, this hand is juicy.
Yeah. Both our
Ooh.
hands are quite spicy this match.
Yeah, I see the double scapegoat over there for Geist and a Solemn Judgment, which is pretty nice.
Mhm.
Can be a little bit of a double-edged sword in this matchup, I guess, just because your deck deals so much damage so quickly, but understand
Yeah.
why it comes in for sure. Good thing for you is Geist has absolutely no pressure. Bad news for you is the 5 back row, of course. But
Yes. Yes.
drop off, not bad. We can keep the hand as double Thunder Dragon.
Mhm.
Blade Knight, come on down. Set everything. Yeah, and here comes the scapegoat. I'll see if Geist wants to do the play of activate heavy storm here. It's kind of a that's very, very aggressive. Probably not, but
Yeah, it's quite aggressive. You know, I kind of thought he would keep a scapegoat in hand,
mhm.
but only because you have this Solomon heavy combo, so you could just
Hmm.
set those and like use heavy, and then made out my Solomon, then he Solms that, right? It would have been quite
Hmm.
nice.
I
Um,
guess
but yeah,
probably just like extra playing around trap dust shoot if I had to guess.
I think so. I guess, yeah.
That makes sense. I like the idea that you had as well, just holding it in hand if there's a trap dust shoot. Cool. I mean, it's likely
Mhm.
just going to hit a Thunder Dragon, but it would have hit a Moth.
Yeah,
So,
it would fit Moth.
yeah, would have been good for you. But luckily for you, you don't have one. So your opponent played around something that you don't have. And again, it looks
Yeah,
like playing around dust shoot
yeah.
and not setting them off. Well, I guess you do have a Blade Knight here. So
I Blade
that,
Knight,
that makes sense. That makes sense. Just screaming no battle trap here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can slam the Swift Gaia if you want to. You do have Solemn Judgment backup. You do not
I
have Solemn
forget what I
Judgment
do
backup. That's
here.
right.
No, I don't even have Psalm Judgment
Yeah.
backup.
I was thinking about Guy's Judgment for some reason. You give it a big think,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're just attacking with a Blade Knight. I don't hate this.
Hmm.
Knowing that there's a Moth in hand, looking back at it now, it screams no battle trap. But
I also don't know the
I
Moth,
guess,
so
yeah, like your opponent just activated Scapegoat. They could definitely be holding on to a Mirror Force or something as well. They just kind of wanted to get the goat value, maybe get extra value out of the Mirror Force later, trying to bait you into summoning
hmm
more to get out these goat tokens. So yeah, I don't hate just going in with the Blade Knight and save the Swift guy for later.
yeah. And also
Breaker.
him setting all five with his heavy storm really put me off into thinking he doesn't have this storm. Like
Mm-hmm.
because typically, you
Yeah,
know, you wouldn't do that. But
yeah, for sure. Breaker coming down. Give it a think. Oh, we're gonna torrential. Okay, yeah. Go ahead and clear these goats. You've got a better attacker. I think at this point you can probably read that there's no. Well, I guess there's still no guarantee there's no battle trap over there, but
yeah.
um, it's fine. Like you've got the Swift Gaia, you've got another monster here in the Rhoda if you want it. This
Yeah, and
turns
it's also I
off.
didn't really have anything chainable for breakers, so it's just like you might as well clear the
Yeah,
tokens as well.
yeah. You had the ring for it, but I guess like between ring and
Oh yeah, ring.
compulse.
I had a ring. Yeah.
Yeah, between like ring and compulse, you can fight off some Thousand Eyes restricts, and basically just fight off everything else for the rest of the game. Just keep your chainables down.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Looks like, yep, we're going Swift Gaia. Save the Rhoda. I like that as well. Maybe you need to get into like an Exiled Force or something later. But gonna run right into a Scapegoat. No big deal. Though we're getting to the point where I think I know what's gonna happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The heavy storm gets flipped. We get to clear damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, with Solemn Judgment backup. So this
With
is this is
solemn judgment. With solemn judgment. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
this is
rough.
definitely going in Guy's favor. You get to clear two of the tokens, I suppose, if you want to, which feels. Oh, we're gonna bounce the Swift Guy. Okay, okay. I don't hate that
Yeah.
either. In case this is just like clearing away for a Thousand Eyes Restrict or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's gonna be something a little bit more powerful than a Thousand Eyes Restrict.
Yeah. Just a little.
But just gonna set him off. Okay. Interesting. There is light dark. Yeah, yeah, we've got light dark in the graveyard. So I guess, yeah, guys just playing it a little safe. You got a wall of tokens here. Maybe just no reason to be aggressive and go into the BLS.
Yeah, he's
But
definitely in a very favorable position right now.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Swift Gaia gets into the Moth. Get back the MST. That is not what you want to see. Get rid of the Sakuretsu armor. Cool. Now it's time for BLS. And
Yeah,
as
BLS
BLS,
protected against snatch deal.
yeah, yeah, very very powerful. Would be like you could draw into a DD assailant or something here. Obviously, you would have to take
Exiled
some
Force would be
damage,
nice,
but
you know.
yeah, Heavy Storm's not it.
No.
But and now we have Meta as a backup play in case we need some defense.
Right, so even if I like get to snatch, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, Pot of Greed though,
I forget what I draw.
nothing
Oh
good.
yeah, nothing good.
I guess,
Nothing good at all.
yeah, it's like this is even if they like say you heavy storm here, you have Call of the Haunted, they attack into Breaker, they attack into whatever other monster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this looking pretty hopeless.
yeah. Breaker break the back row, attack, sure, whatever. Maybe Geist doesn't attack because you set some back row or something like that. Don't hate the
Hmm.
bluffs. Geist given every graveyard a thorough check over here. Oh, yeah, there we go. BLS goes to defense. Meta the
Yeah, and then
token
I
off.
think he takes. Yeah, he does. He
Is
does he give me
Torrential's
an
not.
extra? He
Oh, yeah, Torrential is gone.
Yeah, Tarantula's gone.
So, yeah, this play makes a lot of sense. You get to protect the BLS from Mirror Force, keep it on the field. You have lethal with this tear. Torrential's already gone, so
Yeah,
if you have a battle trap, you have a battle trap. It's not really the end of the world, but you do get to call back the Swift Gaia, which is, yeah, it's just going to get banished. And then big think from Geist D. We're going to set a back row. And there's the Exiled Force, but, well, you do have Heavy Storm. Yep.
yeah, but see, the problem is he has Thunder Dragon,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, yeah,
even if I exile the BLS, he'll just sack the TRE.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. All right, on to game three, where things start getting spicy.
Very
Um,
spicy.
your deck did its thing game one on the beatdown. Game two, control did its thing, and here
Hmm.
we have the aggro deck controlling the control deck with Royal Oppression. And
Oh,
this thing does
I
its
love
job.
it's such a good card.
It's not
I love this
just the
card.
anti RGT card, it sure does stop Scapegoat.
Oh
And
yes, very
we
much so.
love to see it.
And anyone also playing this, the ruling is different in Goat than Edison. So in Edison, you
Yes.
can chain to the scapegoat to negate it, but in Goat format, you have to activate the Royal Oppression before any quick play or inherent special summons. It
Yep.
has to be active beforehand. So
Yep.
just a
Opponent
good thing
gonna
to know.
opponent gonna draw on a snatch steal here. Trap dust shoot's gonna be very sad, but what do
Very
you do?
sad.
What do you do?
Very sad. It lowers my morale very much when this happens.
Give the old FML in chat. Love to see it.
Yeah, let
Click
off
on the
my
torrential.
frustration.
Send that back, please.
Please send it back to the deck. Uh,
I guess you clicked on every card. I suppose that was just to log it in the log over there.
yeah, log into log. But I always click the card I hate the most first.
That's fair. Let's see. You've got protection from Snatch with this MST, so you're good there. You've got Ring of Destruction as a chainable if a monster does happen to come out, and a Royal Oppression, Compulse. Okay, okay. Guy's hand is
Not
quite powerful, but
very powerful.
oh, we're gonna Compulse rather than use the MST. What was the reasoning behind that?
Because I really want, because I know he's gonna do a back row, and so at least one, and so
Mhm.
I just know if I get my Blade Knight back, I can start applying pressure, um, more than getting blocked by a back row removal. So that was kind of my thought process there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Geist gonna set a couple, play the Upstart Goblin. Yeah, just in case you had a second
I
sad
really
trap dust
think,
shoot.
yeah, I think Geist is traumatized by dust shoot in his past or something.
It seems like it. Definitely playing around it at all opportunities in this match.
All costs, yeah.
There's the monster. We got a nice Dekoichi. Yep, not setting it obviously because the Blade Knight and we have Torrential over there. And
Yeah.
MST gonna hit MST. All right. Well, that
Mhm.
protects Royal Oppression. So that's just
Yes,
big brain.
yes,
And here it comes. Yeah,
yes.
activating it on the end before Geist can activate Scapegoat. Makes sense. Drawing a DD Warrior Lady. Also good because you know there's a Torrential over there. Um,
Hmm.
so now you just have another monster. Yeah, lead on the Blade
Yeah.
Knight. Yeah, I like that. Just keep your DD Warrior Lady around in case you need to use it.
Yeah.
The opponent already knows about the Blade Knight. They know that, like, you're only playing 11 monsters as well, so very inclined to just
Yeah.
throw off the torrential here. Doesn't.
But he doesn't do it. No.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, never mind.
Or
Never
he
mind.
oh he does do it. Yeah. Okay.
I guess we just went to battle phase before he was able to flip it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was very confused by that play. I was like, But okay. Second scapegoat. So once again, shout out to Royal Oppression, keeping the goats down. All right. Very good graceful charity here. Man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we can get rid of this Royal Oppression if we keep the Heavy Storm and also just get rid of this ring. And man, that I mean, just looking at the cards that Geist has right now, it looks like you're just dead. Honestly, like I know
Yeah.
you're at 10,000 life points, but we get rid of Dekoichi and Solemn Judgment. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. Spy, very, very good card. We got the Heavy
Mm-hmm.
Storm for oppression, so we can use this other scapegoat. Let's see what he decides to do here. I believe by ruling, Royal Oppression cannot negate Spy in the damage step. Is that right?
No, it can't. Only if
Okay.
it flips, you know.
Yeah.
Like he flips it outside of BP.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we don't activate Heavy Storm there, and then you draw into Solemn Judgment like an actual
Yeah.
pro.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, if
Punished.
he had done heavy there, it would have been definitely not very good for me.
Yeah. Here comes DD Warrior Lady. Um, can't negate, so Geist gets to get a spy,
Unfortunately.
but it's not the end of the world. If you draw another monster,
No.
you do have DD Warrior Lady banish plus ring, however you
Mm-hmm.
want to do it. But Geist just gonna draw a Jar of Greed, set it and pass. That works.
You get the Gaia, yeah.
That clears spy. Oh, everything backed up by Solemn Judgment too. This is gross. Just play around the Mirror Force. Yep. Now you know there's no battle trap.
Mm-hmm.
Geist draws into Thunder Dragon. That is useless. Got a yeah, Jar of Greed into Breaker. Breaker's pretty good. It may I don't know what happens here. It may incentivize Geist to not Heavy Storm once again because the Breaker can just take out the oppression.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Summons the Breaker, runs right into Ring. Wow. Geist really getting punished for
Yeah.
not using this Heavy Storm earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a big. I, to be fair, I drew the solemn, but it was definitely, I think, a misplay not to use it there.
Yeah, very well could be. You're definitely reading no battle trap here for sure. So just
Yeah.
switching
Yeah.
DD Warrior Lady right to attack. We are going to get in for some damage. We have a Mirror Force for good measure. And now, like, had that Heavy Storm gone off, it looked like you were dead, and now it just looks like Geist is dead. Yeah, it's just drawing it absolutely just dead duo. Look at this. Everything is trash except for Heavy Storm, which is trash because there's a Solemn Judgment.
Solemn judgment. Yeah.
Yep, there's the Heavy. Just rip off the Solemn Judgment. No thoughts needed for
Mm-hmm.
that one. Yep,
Nope.
set a bunch of back row. Who cares? Yeah, and we're just getting in for damage. No fear. I love it. Heavy Storm's gone, so we can just set the Dust Tornado. There's a Tsukuyomi that does, let me look at the defense of these monsters. Nothing.
It doesn't do much against these guys. No.
I guess it saves
That's another
Geist for a
reason.
turn,
It's
but
another reason why I like DD Assailant because
oh yeah.
doesn't Yomi doesn't do much against it.
Yep. I guess it does save Geist for a turn because you can just flip down the other monster, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's only doing so much. Just flip it right back up, set another
Yeah.
Dust Tornado. There's a Sangan. That's not doing anything either.
No.
Knock for good measure. Love it. Love it. Just put him out of his misery.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yep. Throw off these dust tornadoes. Guys tries to make you forget about it. No, 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 no. We don't forget royal oppression here. Pay the 800. How about another scapegoat?
Yeah.
Flip this one too. No, get that out of here too. I'm glad you actually just like
Yeah.
got to do it and activate the oppression.
Oh man.
Oh man, that was awesome. Of course that
Yeah.
lets you move on to the finals where sorry return winner. you were able to beat him twice to take down the Obelisk. So
Yeah.
um, seeing Royal Oppression do something outside of against RGT um, is awesome.
Yeah.
This match was a lot
I
of fun.
think row oppression is definitely. I think it works against RGT, but also works against control quite a
Yep.
bit. Because I mean, it makes sense. It works against all the chaos, the scape, the meta. Um, you know,
Hmm.
and if they happen to flip spy, so it's a. I like the card. Yeah. So.
Yep.
But it was a fun match, and then yeah, like you said, I went on to play Return, and then won the finals again. So
Yep. So congratulations to you on two Worlds invites. I hope you don't change course and you do end up taking this deck to Worlds. I know we've got
oh,
what like
most definitely.
got like 6 months until Worlds happens. I've had a few close calls recently with qualifying. Hopefully, I'll be there with you. But yeah,
I
congrats on
think
those
you will.
invites.
You will. Thank you.
The Gumo deck, I think, is here to stay. I think it's. I think this deck is quite powerful. Here I am gonna start loading up Royal Oppression probably in Warriors or something
Yeah, you
along those
should.
lines
You
after seeing
should.
this match. Definitely a fan of playing around with that card. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Do you have anything else to say before we sign off here?
No, not really. Just I hope I see some more spice and innovation across the ladder. I always like to see people make really creative decks.
Mhm.
And get away from the standard stuff. Because I still think there's a lot of things out there that people can make work, but I think
Mhm.
people get afraid of trying new things because they don't want to like feel like they're failing. But I can guarantee you, like with this deck, I to get this deck to where it is now, I had to go through a lot of iterations, and there's a lot
Mhm.
of failures along the way of what I was doing. So, I think people just need to keep at it, keep up with the spice, and may Gumo live forever. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely. All right. So, thank you for coming on. As always, really appreciate it. Always a whole lot of fun. That's going to be the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, we will be back with the next one.